Hi, Phil here, and welcome to this Stage 1 update where I'll briefly go through some of the details of the tech stack we're using and also give you an end-to-end demo of the storyboard that we've been building. So Stage 1 was all about choosing and testing a test stack and also to produce a storyboard of all the screens for your approval to let us progress into Stage 2, where we'll create a clickable prototype that we can actually put into your hands. So in terms of the tech stack, we first had to pick a UI framework, and in the end we decided on jQuery Mobile, working with HTML5, CSS3 and JavaScript jQuery. We went with this as jQuery has been long established for over 10 years now, and jQuery Mobile has been running since about 2010, so both are really well established, they're robust, they're very well supported, and there's lots and lots of online resources. Because of all the online support, it's got a much faster learning curve and it's easy to implement on your client sites. One of the big advantages of jQuery Mobile is that it's both cross-platform and cross-device. So it's going to immediately work on both Android and Apple devices, on different screen sizes and resolutions. It will also work on desktop browsers as well, making it really easy to develop and support. It also means that you are not filling your code base with all sorts of device workarounds, which means your code is going to be kept clean and maintenance costs on it are going to be lower. So using jQuery Mobile is going to give us the widest browser and device coverage with the lowest build costs, and it's a mobile first framework but not a mobile only framework. In terms of the design of the UI widgets, they're all fully touch friendly, so it works perfectly on a mobile device. It's also got a great layout and theming engine, making the look and feel in the UI very customizable, which I'm guessing will be important to you guys if you're going to be rebranding the app for yourself and different clients. So going into the tech stack, we're going to be building the user interface using jQuery Mobile, HTML5, CSS3, and that will talk to the back-end application via AJAX calls to .NET Web Services that we'll be building in Stage 3. So the UI will communicate to the back-end .NET application via AJAX calls to the new .NET Web Services we're going to build in Stage 3. And where we can, we'll also utilize any existing class functions, like for instance your login authentication. So we'll either be interacting with the database either via the web services we're going to build or any pre-existing built classes that you've got that we can utilize. To test it all works, we've built a quick prototype on your server and everything worked perfectly, so it's all good to go. What we'll do in Stage 2 is build a dummy web service in PHP which will mimic this, and we'll have some hard-coded responses in, which will allow us to turn the front-end storyboard, which I'm going to show you in a moment, into a fully functioning prototype. So at the end of Stage 2, we can give you a fully clickable prototype to play with before we fully build the back end and integrate into the existing application and database. Right, okay, let's take a look at the storyboard. Okay, so what I'm doing here is sharing what's on my iPhone 6 Plus, to my PC using an app called Reflector. So what you're seeing on the right hand side of the screen is, on the iPhone image, is exactly what's going on my iPhone screen as I speak. So the first screen is a login screen. It's a pop-up box as you're seeing, and we can put whatever background you want on the screen, whatever branding. So we put an image on here. You can put any image you want. It can be a color, and I said you can put branding on the top of the screen. As I've said, jQuery Mobile comes with a great theming engine. So what you will see when you log in is the default vanilla theme, but the app can be rethemed in any way you want, and you're going to be able to provide clients with different color themes as well. In Stage 2, what we'll do is we'll load some alternative themes up so you can get an idea of what can be done. Okay, let's log in. The first login has been hard-coded to take us through the path of an employee logging in to do their expenses. And once we've done that, I'll take you through the manager route. So the first thing the employee will see is a list of functions they can perform. It's in a list format and each row is clickable. If the row is clickable, then you will see an arrow on the end of the row, which means you're allowed to click on it. What we've also added is a count on the end of the row. So you can see how many items are sitting under that option, under that row. So in this example, it's saying that this employee has 7 expense claims created. I've also added timesheets and absences onto the end of the menu so you can see what it would look like. But if I click on those, there's nothing in them at the moment until you've decided to go ahead and build them. So if I click on timesheets, as you can see, it's empty. What we've also got on the top right hand side of the screen is a navigation menu icon, and if I click on that, you'll see a list of shortcuts. Let's click on that. What you'll see is a list of shortcuts that will take you back to either the home screen or any of the other menu items on the screen, and also to log out. The menu icon is on every screen on the app, so wherever you are, you can jump back to home or to any of the menu functions or log out. To remove this sliding menu, all you got to do is slide it back or click on anywhere on the screen. So there you go. Okay, so let's click on expenses. Okay, so this is the main employee expenses screen, and over on the left is the same screen on your existing web application. The existing screen lists all the expenses and their different statuses. But what we've done is create this new top level screen that you're seeing on the right on the app, which gives them the option to view all expenses as your existing application does, or just drill down based on the status. We've also added a count next to each row, which is pretty standard throughout the whole app. So you can see exactly how many items are within each. So when the employee logs in, they can easily see how many of their expenses are either new, authorized, awaiting authorization, or rejected. And what we've got on the bottom is a button to allow you to create a new expense as well. What you will also see on the top left of the screen is a back button. This will appear on all the screens, which will allow you to return to the previous screen. So next up, let's add an expense. Okay, so this is the add expense screen. As you can see, the format is that we've got two tabs on the top. First one shows you the expense details. Second one shows you the receipt, if there's been a receipt loaded in there. Let's go through the fields. So the first one is date of expense. If we click on that, it uses the native device picker, as you can see on the bottom of the screen. So it's going to use the actual native controls on the device. Press done. Description box, that's a text box. So I can type in whatever I want there, up to whatever the limit is, the size of the field that you've currently got on your system. So I don't know whether you've got a limit on there, but if you have, we'll be enforcing that. I can press return, which will stretch the box. Obviously on a web screen, you'd be able to use your mouse to stretch that box, which we can't do on a mobile device. So we've made it stretchable based on what you're basically typing into it. As you can also see, it's bringing up the alphanumeric keyboard, so it's recognizing it's a text area, so it brings up the alphanumeric keyboard on the bottom. If I clicked on an amount field, which is a numeric field, on the bottom it brings up the numeric keyboard. So we've added that extra control in, so it's really easy for them. What we don't want is if they're in a numeric field, it takes them to the alphanumeric keyboard and they've got to navigate to the numeric one. So we've taken them straight to the correct keyboard. Then we've got type of expenses. So if I click on type of expense again, it's going to use the device's native picker. So I pick meal and bring meal in. Now obviously, depending on the type of status, then the fields underneath would toggle and change. We're just showing you all three at the moment, which is the amount, the sales tax and the mileage. So if I'd picked mileage as an expense, I'd just expect to see the mileage box. On the bottom we've got two buttons, which is upload receipt and add the expense. So if I click on upload receipt, so that brings me up with this pop-up. I can pick choose. That can let me either pick a file from the photo library. So if I go into the photo library, I can pick an image. I'll pick Bez. Or let's go back, choose file. I can actually take a picture as well. So there's my keyboard, take a photo of that, use photo. So you can either upload an image or you can in fact take a picture of the receipt there and then. If you press add, it'll take you back to the previous screen that you were on. And when we get to stage 3, we're going to be also adding in any existing field validations you've got in there. So for instance, on the amount, if there's a maximum allowance, an amount that they can do on a particular type of expense. So we'll be adding in all the validation into stage 3. So let's press add. So this takes us back to the main employee expenses menu list. So let's take a quick look at all these options. So first up, let's go into all claims. This takes us to a very similar screen to what you've got now in your existing application, which lists all the different claims in their various states. So new claims awaiting authorization, rejected and authorized. It's grouped by date with the most current first, and then lists the claims, telling you the claim number, the date it was submitted, along with any monetary value for the claim as well. And also, if you look at the right, there's a count telling you how many items there are on the claim. And as I said, these counts are good. Made it pretty standard across the whole app, so you can see how much detail there is beneath each row that you might be clicking on. We've also added a new filter onto the top of the screen that we didn't have in the old app. So let's try and type in some text. So we click on that. So for instance, I can just type in new. I can't spell it right. And there we go. It's filtered it down to just the new claims. Likewise, I could put a number in there. So we've got claim 7 on the bottom. So if I type in 7, it's going to find everything that's got a 7 in it. So it's got a really nice, powerful filtering search function. On the bottom, there is also another add expense button. So you can either add a new claim from either here or the main screen we were just on. On the bottom, there is also an add expense button, so you can initiate a new claim from either the main menu, as we just saw, or from any of the claim lists. So no need to sort of navigate backwards and forwards to add a claim. The list you're seeing is scrollable, so if the list is sort of longer than the physical screen, you can scroll up and down, and it scrolls neatly under the button on the bottom, so the buttons are always visible. Okay, before we take a look at the detail of a claim, let's take a quick look at some of those other lists. So let's go into new claims. So this screen just shows the employee's new claims. Again, it's grouped by date, and you can see the value of each claim and the number of items within each claim, and you have the option to click on the detail by just clicking the row. Once again, we've got the text search filter on the top, and in fact we're going to be implementing that on almost every screen that's got this sort of list format on both the employee side and the managed side. So it's going to give you more sort of enhanced search capabilities to find claims of any type. Like the all claim screen, you've also got the add new expense button on the bottom. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the other screens. So we've also got awaiting authorization. So if we click on that, again, exactly the same format as new claims, only these are all the claims that are awaiting authorization. Let's go back. Rejected claims. So these are all the claims that have been rejected, and you can see it displays the reason on there. In this case, that the amount exceeded the claim limit, and we can see the claims that have been authorized. So it's as simple as that. It's really easy. So next up, let's look at the actual detail of one of these claims. So what I'm going to do is click on all claims, and we'll take a look at a couple. Okay, so this is what a new claim would look like, and over on the left you can see what it looks like on your existing web application. In terms of function, you've got everything you've got now. You can add a new expense line. So let's take a quick look. There we go. So it's exactly the same as if you're adding a brand new expense. You can add a new line. Go back. You can delete a claim. So if you want to delete the whole claim, press delete. It comes up with a pop-up. Are you sure? And you can submit the claim. So if I submit the claim, it'll ask me for the date of the claim, and then it will submit it. So it's easy as that. In the list, you're going to see all the different items that make up the claim. The title on the top tells you the claim number, in this case claim 9, and it's a new claim. It tells you the status as well. And under that, you've got the filter search button as well. So if you want to search for anything, I'm going to search for hotels. So that would find me all the hotels in that claim. It's really easy. List shows you all the items within the claim. It shows you the amounts, and they're all clickable. So let's click on the top one, hotel. So the claim detail screen is exactly the same screen that you see when you add a new claim, only it's populated with some of the data, because obviously the claim's already been submitted. It has the two tabs on the top, and if we click on the receipt tab in this case, we can now see a receipt. You can pinch it, you can zoom on the receipt. It's just an image. You can slide it around. You can do whatever you want with it. Really easy. And you can go back to the expense details. You can edit any of these fields as well. So if I'd made need to change the description, I can change the description, or any of the other fields. If you wanted to delete this expense line, you just press delete. It comes up with a pop-up to confirm that. You can change the receipt. So if I wanted to change that receipt, I just press upload receipt, and I can change it for a new one. If I'm happy with the detailed change, then I just press update on the bottom. Screen's also configured to only show the fields that are applicable to this particular expense type. So in this case, it was a hotel, so we've only got the amount and the sales tax on the bottom. When that's fully functioning throughout the whole app, then it will work the same for sort of mileage claims. But I'll show you an example of that. Let's quickly go back. So there's a mileage claim, and that's got miles on the bottom. So that's how easy it is. Okay, let's take a quick look at some of the other claim types. So let's go back. Right, we've got a rejected claim here, so let's look at that. So rejected claim, it's exactly the same. You can click on the detail, you can delete it, you can add a new line to it, you can submit it again. It's really easy. Awaiting authorization, let's go down to one of those. So the only difference with this screen is that it's awaiting authorization, so they do have a button on the bottom that allows them to withdraw the claim if they want to. Let's go back, let's go on to an authorized one. There's an authorized one. And these have been authorized, so those have already been completed. No buttons on the bottom because nothing to do with those. Okay, so that's about it for employee expenses, but hopefully you've been able to see all the functions you have on the existing application but in the mobile format, and we've added a few new nice tweaks and made it pretty intuitive, so anybody that just picks this up from scratch should be able to easily navigate their way around. So next up, let's take a look at the manager side. Same with employee login, we've got a base screen and we can put whatever background image we want on there, whatever color, whatever logo on the top, and if you want to rebrand it for different clients, it's easy to do that. So I'll press login. So this is the main manager's to-do list screen, which does what your existing web application does, which you can see on the left. On the web screen, you've currently got 3 sets of filters. You've got on the top, you've got a filter by pending, authorized and rejected. Below that, you've got a filter on the type of task it is, whether it be expenses or timesheets, etc. And then underneath that, you've got a filter by period. So what we've done, we've made the top level screen on the mobile app, as you can see on the right, as the manager logs in, to a list of the type of task it is. So expenses, timesheets, absences, or whatever else you want to add on there. Obviously, you've not asked us to do timesheets and absences yet, so they don't do anything. So if I click on timesheets, for instance, it's just a blank screen for now. We've also, like on the employee screens, given you the number of items on the end of each row. So in this case, I can see that there are 4 expenses to look at. So let's kick into expenses. So the next thing we've done when you've clicked on expenses, we've moved the status filter, which you've currently got on the top left of your existing web screen, and we've put them into tabs on the top of the mobile version. So it's really easy to shuffle the list based on whether it's pending, authorized or rejected. So let me just show you that. So currently we're showing the pending ones. So let's click on authorized, so that will toggle it over to authorized. And if I click rejected tab, then those are the rejected expenses. So it's really easy for them to sort of toggle between the different statuses. The only question I would ask you guys on the rejected tab, currently on your existing web app, you can't click on the detail. You can only see this top level for a rejected claim. So I've done exactly the same on the mobile app. So you'll have to let me know whether you want us to make it clickable. So on authorized, they're all clickable. On pending ones, they're all clickable, and it's really easy for me to make them clickable and disabled, so they can click on it, but all the detail is disabled. So if you want me to do that, I can do that. So just let me know. We've also added the search filter box on the top, so you can search for things. So let's try that out. If I search for Billy, there we go. I just get the Billy Fury items. So it's really easy. And on the bottom of the screen, we've got your third filter that you've currently got on the bottom left of your web screen, which is this period filter. So if I click on that button on the bottom, and then we get this pop-up, so I can filter the results by all, today, this week, this month, this quarter, or this year, exactly how your existing web app's working. That's not going to work at the moment until we've got it plugged in wide into the back end, but if I click on this week, then that would change that list to just this week's. So it's pretty easy to filter the expenses based on their status, based on the period, and you can also do the searches, which you haven't got on the existing app. So we've got search functionality in there too. Okay, so the way we've designed this screen, we've done it so it's really easy for the manager to work through their pending claims. So the screen defaults to the pending tab automatically, so they can easily see a list of what claims that need to be actioned. If I click on the top one, it's going to take me through to the details of claim 9, and we can see a list of the items, and once again I can click on any of those to see the detail or the receipt. So I'll just click on the top one, hotel. There we go, see the detail, and we can see the hard-coded receipt we've got in there as well at the moment. On the bottom of the screen, we've got 2 buttons, authorize claim and reject claim. If you click on reject, there we go, it prompts me up for a reason to reject. So type in that, and then I can reject if I want. So if I can click on authorize, say yes to that, and it takes me back to the pending tab. So once I've clicked authorize, it's going to take me back to the pending list, which when it's got working, the top claim will obviously now vanish, or whichever one you clicked on will now vanish, and it'll move to either the authorized or the rejected tab. So the way we've designed it, it's really easy for the manager to work through their to-do list and either accept or reject them really quickly. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything that you're currently doing in both employee expenses and on the manager side, and we've designed it so that timesheets and absences can be easily slotted in the bottom, as you can see, when you're happy to proceed onto those. In terms of device compatibility, what I've shown you is literally running off my iPhone 6 Plus. It's in my hand at the moment, and it's sharing up to my desktop screen. So we're also testing it on a physical Samsung and on an iPad, and we've also been testing on some other smaller screen formats using a simulator, which I can show you now as well. Okay, so this is the simulator that we're using within the Chrome browser. So you can see on the left we've got the a screen. This is on the employee side, and down the right we've got all sorts of controls and things that we can do. In this case, I'm sort of monitoring the speed of the load of the different pages. But what we can do is we've got loaded up. We've got different screen sizes. So if I go to Galaxy S5, you can see it adjusts it for that. The smallest one we've got is iPhone 5. So that's the sort of base one we're trying to make sure that all the core functions work for. That's probably the smallest size screen that people are going to use. I've been using 6 Plus as well. You can do iPad. So we can test it on an iPad, although we're going to be physically testing it on a real iPad. Let's go back to 6 Plus. We can also toggle it around. So there it is in landscape, back to portrait. And we do exactly the same on the other devices. Go to iPad. So there we go, portrait, landscape. So it's really easy to use. So, and we can also add other devices on there, but I think that more or less covers the ones we've got loaded up, more or less cover the main different sizes of devices that are in people's hands at the moment. Right, so I think that covers the whole of stage 1. We've tested the tech stack on your server, it worked perfectly okay. We've built all of the storyboard screens actually using jQuery Mobile. So if all of that looks okay and you give us the go ahead, we'll move on to stage 2. And stage 2, we're going to be putting a little bit of more meat on the bones of what you've seen now. We'll be adding all the Ajax calls in, all the real functionality in the top level screen, and we'll build a dummy, probably in PHP, a web service that will mimic with some hard-coded responses what your current web services are using, and that will enable us to test all of the front end, and it all clicks and it all connects. And then what we'll be able to do, the end of stage 2, is give you that, and you're going to be able to properly go through and play it. You won't be using real data, but you'll be able to properly play with it end to end without running into any dead ends. So you can have that, and then we'll be able to proceed on to stage 3. Then we'll be able to move on to stage 3, where we'll actually build the real back-end services.